So I think I'm going to make a bit of a suggestion to Keith the crypto farmer. And my suggestion is going to be that he renames Calf to Phoenix, because our beautiful little Cause for the Calves project is rising from the ashes. It's flying out of the flames of doubt and accusations. And against all odds, it is rising. Welcome to Calf version 2. Let's go. Welcome, my dear friend. Come on in. Take a seat. Not around my table today because it's a bit noisy in my conservatory today where I usually am. So welcome to my little old lounge. And somebody said it looks like I'm sat on the floor. I'm actually not sat on the floor. I'm actually sat on a step. My lounge goes down. So just thought I'd explain that. And also you might be wondering what this lump here is. That's my production assistant, who as always is sleeping on the job, but what can you do? So as always, my dear friend, I will say I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. So please do your own research. So today we are talking about Calf token version 2. Now, I absolutely don't want to dwell on the last 2 or 3 weeks in terms of what happened in history. That's all been explained in other videos that I've done and Keith the Crypto Farmer has done. But it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge and congratulate Keith on doing exactly what he said he would do. So briefly, he did not rug pull his own project. He made an error. He was scammed and he fell for it. He admitted that, he apologized for that, and he said that he would make right. And I do have to say, this was in a swirl of vile accusations that have been made from all parts of everywhere against Keith. But he stuck to his guns and he has done nothing but work hard in the last 2 to 3 weeks to recover the liquidity from his own funds. So he has had to find this money that he didn't steal, somebody else did. He has added liquidity back into Calf and has introduced Calf version 2, which is a very different kettle of fish than Calf version 1. And that's exactly what I want to get into today. But I do just want to say congratulations, Keith. You are a man of integrity. You are a man of your word. And I and the community are incredibly, incredibly proud of you and proud to be part of this project. And just before we move on from that to look at, a little bit more closely Calf 2, it is really important to also acknowledge that none of the Calf holders have lost anything in the last few weeks. So although liquidity was stolen, Keith acted very, very quickly. He paused the contract and everything has been stopped. So the only thing that we as holders have lost is actually time trading because we couldn't do anything. But yesterday, we were all airdropped on a 1-to-1 ratio, the new Calf version 2 tokens. And so we have all had those tokens delivered. Nobody is in a worse position than they were 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I think that's really important because also accusations have been thrown that Keith didn't know what he was doing and people have lost money. Absolutely not the case. And it's all good. So as I said, Calf version 2 was launched yesterday. We are now able to trade on Calf version 2 and things are looking pretty good. But I will come to the chart just in a few minutes after we've looked at the new tokenomics. So Calf version 1 was just a really, really simple token that you bought and sold with no tax system at all. Now that has changed. What hasn't changed though, just really quickly say, is the utility of Calf, because Calf was always a project with immense utility, actually anchored in the real world. So I think setting it aside from so many other DeFi projects, Calf has real life utility in the real world, and that hasn't changed. That will continue with Calf 2. But Calf 2 is a very, very different kettle of fish because it has got quite an innovative set of tokenomics that's set to really future-proof the token. So why don't we just jump on in and I'll take you through just briefly what those tokenomics now look like. So welcome to Calf version 2, where there is an initial total supply of 5 million tokens. But as there is no minting facility within the contract, that will never ever get any larger. And in fact, as there is a burn facility, that number will obviously reduce over time. So features of the smart contract include a burn facility, which I've just mentioned, an innovative variable tax system, which I'll come to in just a second, but crucially, rewards to holders in the form of reflections. So let's talk about these variable taxes, which will be in the form of buy and sell taxes. And before we get into numbers, it's really important to understand that the taxes can be used in any combination to fund the 4 areas of the liquidity pool, the treasury, which will deal with marketing and project development, the burn facility, and crucially, the holders. And this will be in the form of reflections, which makes holders very, very happy. So now let's put some numbers on those taxes. So let's just establish that the standard baseline or default setting of the taxes will be buys of 3% and sells of 7%. However, as per the needs of the project, those taxes can be varied. And certainly as this is the launch of the new version 2, and the liquidity needs to grow, that 7% sell tax has been altered to a current 20%. And the way that these taxes are now being split just temporarily they are going to the liquidity pool, which will have the 3% tax of the buy, but also half of the sell tax, and the other half of the sell tax, so the 10%, will be given to holders in the form of reflections. But this really is kind of a snapshot of where we are at the moment, because obviously it's very, very early days. Keith needs to build up that liquidity. He wants to reward those holders, the community members that have stayed true to him. So he's, giving those very large reflections back at the moment. But also, things will move on, and you can expect to see that sell tax absolutely across, probably the next few days, weeks, reducing back down to what the norm will be going forward. But really, it's important to, point out the absolute positives about the ability to change how the tax is spent and what actually the tax is, because this absolutely future-proofs the project going forward. The needs of the project can be met at any given time. Anytime the liquidity needs to be boosted, then there can be some changes made to how the taxes are allocated. Or if the community is saying, hey, Keith, we want more reflections, then that can be considered. And all of this can be tweaked, or, Keith might, or the community might decide that actually we want to burn more. We want to get these tokens down in number. We want to make them rarer in order to help push up the price, perhaps. So all of these different combinations are absolutely possible. But I think the other really, really important thing to say here is that, yes, this is all done manually, and ultimately it will be the team and the CEO that, take the action to change those taxes. However, there is an absolute undertaking from Keith as CEO with the team to only do that in full consultation with the community, in discussions with the community, and with the full acknowledgement and kind of notice to the community that something is going to happen. So in other words, Keith and the team are undertaking not to suddenly change the tax. This is absolutely for the good of the project. It's to make the project more sustainable going forward. And how many projects have you been in where the taxes are set and the frustration that they can't be changed, and actually, a different version of the contract has to be created just so that something can be changed? Well, that's the issue, or the challenge that is being, hit head on with these variable taxes in COF version 2. It is innovative and it is future-proofing the project going forward. So, as I said, COF 2 was launched yesterday, and I don't think anybody really knew what to expect. The project had just been through, as I said at the beginning, this awful period where there's all sorts of accusations, etc., etc. I think the sense was that actually the community, of course, for the Calves didn't really bat an eyelid. Honestly, when this happened, it's kind of, okay, we heard what you said, Keith. Okay, just tell us when version 2 is up. And that's what happened yesterday. So as I said, we were all airdropped our tokens and the market was open again. But, it could have been that there were some current holders that were really, really disheveled and cross about what happened, who maybe could have just immediately taken the opportunity to get rid of their tokens. Now, having said that, obviously, as I've explained in the tokenomics, the current sell tax is very high, so that may have deterred some holders from selling. But what actually happened was, in the whole 24 hours or so since it's been launched, there have been 2 or 3 sells, but there have been a lot of buys. And if you just think about that, a disheveled, annoyed, frustrated community might sit there and not sell, but they wouldn't buy. And I just think every single green candle from yesterday and, continuing is an absolute shout from the community to Keith to say, we believe in you, Keith. We are here for the future. And yesterday, the starting price was, I don't actually know what it was, but it was about 3 cents or something. And, at the time of filming this video, we're up above 6 cents. And you can see from the chart that it is absolutely going up and to the right, which is what we want to see. So an incredible start, an incredible positive affirmation from the community that nobody is going anywhere and we are here for the project going forward. The project is still tiny. We only have 160 something holders. It's so tiny. It's beautifully bijou. But as part of launching version 2, I know that Keith has got massive plans for the future. Now, nothing has been said so far. I've heard a little bit in the background, but it is exciting times for CAF. And I think, all we can say is watch this space because bigger things are coming. But I think I'm going to leave it there because, as always, I always say, little short video and it's gone on and on and on. But I am so thrilled to have CAF back, for Keith to prove himself to those that he needed to prove himself to, which wasn't me or the community. He said what he's been truthful to what he said he would do. He's done it. We're back and it's looking great for CAF. So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. As I always say, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, then please do consider subscribing. And also, if you can just give this video a little like, then it all helps to push things out to the algorithm. So thank you again. I'll see you on the next one. But in the meantime, I'll just say cheers.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.